women who are so particular and opinionated and spiky that you no longer can project.
Why is everyone still mad? I've already apologized. I've used the age excuse. I've said I'm just a girl.
They're uncomfortably too human and theater kid-esque, feeling that way.
Okay, what in the theater kid was that? We don't hate to see you win. That's kind of self-absorbed and narcissistic.
I think people would love Rachel if she stayed hot and unknowable.
I think you're gonna need more than just hope. I think you better pray. Listen, I'm not trying to absolve myself from the dumb things I've said online. They're still dumb, but I was just a baby.
I don't know, but I just would never expect this reaction from them.
It started with people talking quietly, and in just 2 days it became a huge mess. Rachel Zegler's Evita show was already in trouble. People were walking out asking for their money back and saying the show was fake. But now something much worse is happening.
I think that in the future, when we reflect on what happened, it is going to come to be known as the girl bosses who flew too close to the sun, okay? People say that. This is an example of that. Girl boss, I'm a girl boss, I can do whatever I want. Men ain't sleep, men are terrible, whatever. We can do whatever we want in this era.
A letter asking to shut down the whole show just got 100,000 signatures. That's right, 100,000 people in just 1 day signed a paper saying they're mad. They think the show is terrible and ruins everything Evita was supposed to be about.
The narcissist is going to remain a one-person wrecking crew. Please protect yourself, as their rage and their manipulation can literally make you sick, both mentally and physically. And not calling them out is not enabling. A lot of people say, if I don't call them out, then I'm part of the problem. They're already enabled. And you calling them out in a strange way enables them more.
And here's the scary part. It's not just mean people online signing it. Real theater reviewers and even fans of Rachel Zegler are saying the same thing. They think this show went too far.
And if you've ever seen Evita, it is a challenging part to play. And I don't think she has the temerity, the stamina, you pick a word here, in order to pull it off going, every single day that the theater is open.
The letter sounds really angry. It says the West End show erases important history, pushes today's ideas into an old story, and picks a main actor who doesn't get what her character is about. It's really harsh, but lots of people agree with it.
Literally no idea why he's covered in cake, frosting, goop, slime at the end of the show. What I do love, though, is everybody trying to figure out why it's happening and what the context is. And look, I haven't seen the show. I don't know why it's happening. But the theories are incredible. Some people saying the blue and white represents the Argentinian flag. That's a yes, but why is it goopy? I don't know. If you are at the first preview of Evita, or any of Evita, if you know anything about Evita and why he's covered in stuff, let us know.
People on social media are already calling this the most embarrassing failure in musical theater history. And it's not just because nobody's buying tickets. This goes much deeper. People are saying the show is trying to be trendy and political, instead of being real art. One TikTok video says, "You didn't make her story better, you buried it with your big ego and politics." And every hour more people get angry.
So there's a lot of discourse right now about how Jamie Lloyd's production of Evita starring Rachel Zegler looks a lot like his production of Sunset Boulevard. People are like, oh, is he doing the same thing again? I saw a video just now from the creator Matt Seiler, which I totally agree with, and I'll link it in the caption, where he's talking about how, it doesn't bother me when an artist's work looks like their other work. That's just called having an artistic voice. And I would take that even further and say that it's important to have some context about the style that Jamie Lloyd is working in. I would characterize Jamie Lloyd's work as following in the tradition of European Regie theater. And if you don't know Regie theater, it's a German word that originated in opera that literally means director's theater. So describing the practice of, directors having an immense amount of creative control over the production.
Just 10 days ago, everyone thought this show would help Rachel Zegler bounce back. After all the Snow White drama, this was supposed to prove she was still a great actress. But now critics are saying this might end her career.
Like, I'm a very mentally ill piece of... Oh boy.
This might explain some of the comments she's been making.
Fans want her to say sorry, and people who work in show business are quietly saying the people who made the show are panicking. They spent millions of dollars, and now it's turning into a disaster that everyone's talking about online. But this was just the start, because as more people signed the letter, an even bigger problem is coming up. And it's not just about theater anymore. The warning signs were there from the very first day. Opening night was supposed to be amazing, fancy photos, people clapping and cheering, great reviews. But what really happened was total chaos. In the first 20 minutes of the show, something weird started happening.
Rachel Zegler, her stock is through the roof after this movie.
I can't believe it. I very much had no interest in seeing Rachel Zegler in any movies heading into this. And watching this made me forget that I really don't like her as an actress.
All is forgiven with the Snow White controversy. Maybe I'm going to show up for it. I thought she was fantastic.
She was really funny.
People in the audience started leaving, just a few at first, then more and more. By the end of the second part, whole rows of seats were empty. Some people asked for their money back right there at the ticket office. Others made TikTok and Twitter videos of themselves walking out of the theater. They wrote things like, "This isn't Evita, this is a bad joke." The video that went most viral showed a young couple whispering, "Is this a joke?" while Rachel Zegler sang one of Eva Perón's most famous songs, but they say the words were changed to include modern feminist language that wasn't in the original. That video got over 6 million views in just one day. But it wasn't just the changed words. Many reports said that even the clapping at the end wasn't real.
Writers lean so hard into feminism that they circle back around to misogyny. I still don't follow. Learning from their mistakes is the most compelling thing that they can do. So many writers are so hung up on writing a strong, capable woman that they don't let her make any mistakes to learn from. Because women always have to be perfect. So that's why we so rarely see girl boss characters being held accountable for their actions. Things get blamed on the people around them, society, emotional trauma, and they never take personal responsibility. I've thought of it that way. A lot of writers don't like showing the strong female character as flawed and in need of personal growth, and that's very unsatisfying to viewers and readers.
Someone leaked a secret note from inside the show. It said the actors were told to start clapping on cue so there wouldn't be awkward silence that the producers were scared of. Then the professional reviews came out, and they were really mean. One newspaper said the show was like a political speech covered in sparkles. Another wrote, "Zegler talks like she's still doing interviews, not acting on stage." The theater world quickly changed their minds. What they said was bold and brave, now seemed like a big mistake.
Rachel Zegler is the prime example of how you should never think that you're bigger than the project. I've never heard of her before. I don't know if this is her first project or if she's done movies like this before or anything that has anything to do with acting before, but girl, this wasn't it. Like, why'd you go and dog your own movie? Dog Disney, dog the writer, you dogged everything. Now she's mad because they didn't fire her from upcoming projects, but you're not a team player. Why would somebody want to hire you when you don't know how to play your part? Like, you didn't know how to play your part in the movie and in the real world.
So here's the crazy part. The people who made the show didn't even see this coming. Someone who worked on the show said they warned everyone during practice that the feeling didn't match who Eva Perón really was, but nobody listened. Why? Because everything was built around making Rachel Zegler look good again. "We couldn't change anything, even if it meant ruining the whole show," the person said. And just as critics were saying terrible things about the show, boom, things got way worse. A frustrated fan wrote something online that turned into a huge West End scandal. The title, "Shut Down the Evita Revival." Who started the petition? An Argentine fan who said this version disrespected Eva's memory, called the casting selfish, and said the show made a national hero seem Western, and it hit hard. Over 100,000 people signed it. The comments were brutal. "This isn't Evita, it's Instagram dress-up." Some even said their dead relatives would be ashamed. And while Rachel Zegler stayed completely quiet, influencers, Broadway actors, and Latino bloggers tore the show apart. One even said this was like rewriting Martin Luther King's story for TikTok. Yikes. But here's where it gets dark. People working backstage started sharing secrets. People inside the show said practice was chaos. They kept changing the script. Everyone was tense, and nobody could question Zegler without her PR team stopping them. Scenes were supposedly rewritten to make things trendier right before opening night. Then came the leaked email. It showed even the top creative team had doubts about Rachel playing Eva in a way that respected the culture, but those warnings ignored. Some advisors reportedly quit in protest, but the show just kept moving forward, heading straight toward disaster. Meanwhile, theaters were empty, like seriously empty. Viral photos from the balcony showed entire rows with no one sitting there. Cheap tickets started selling for less than a cup of coffee. People online made fun of it ruthlessly, a lecture in costume, a vanity project, not a tribute. TikTok memes made fun of Rachel's speeches, and one clip got 9 million views just for being painfully embarrassing. And now, Argentine cultural groups are getting involved. Rumors say Eva Perón's own foundation might make an official statement against the show. Some even want it shut down completely. Security has been quietly increased backstage. Protests might be coming, and the cast feels terrible. Even crew members are asking not to work. Rachel Zegler still hasn't said anything, and fans think that silence says everything. Some insiders say she might quit just to save her reputation, but at this point it might be too late. This was supposed to be a comeback after the Snow White disaster. Instead, it's a complete cultural meltdown. So if you want the next update, whether Rachel speaks up, the show survives, or Eva Perón's legacy gets saved, hit that subscribe button, smash the bell icon, and don't miss what happens next because, trust me, it's not over. Not even close.